What makes an empire? Is it the sheer size of its territory, the might of its armies, or the brilliance of its culture? Throughout history, great empires have risen and fallen, leaving behind legacies that continue to shape our world today. From the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia to the misty shores of Britain, the story of empires is a saga of ambition, conflict, and breathtaking human achievement. So grab your gear, fellow history adventurers, because today, we, re-embarking on a journey through time to explore the age of empires, uncovering the secrets of their power, the brutality of their wars, and the enduring light of their civilizations. Let's start at the very beginning. The first empires weren't built overnight. They grew from the Fertile Crescent, where cities like Akkad and Ur first tasted the fruits of conquest. Imagine Sargon of Akkad, a man who rose from humble beginnings to unite disparate city-states under a single banner, creating what many consider the world's first empire. His secret weapon? A professional standing army, loyal only to him. This was a game changer. No longer were wars just seasonal squabbles between neighbors. Now, they were instruments of state policy designed to expand borders, control trade routes, and project power. Sargon's model of centralized rule and military dominance became the blueprint for countless empires to come. Now, let's fast forward to one of the most iconic empires of all time, Rome. The Roman Empire wasn't just big. It was a marvel of engineering, law, and administration. At its peak, it stretched from Britain to Egypt, a vast and diverse territory held together not just by the famed Roman legions, but by a network of roads, aqueducts, and a common legal system. A citizen in Syria could, in theory, appeal to the same laws as a merchant in Gaul. This idea of a universal state, Pax Romana or Roman peace, brought unprecedented stability and prosperity to the Mediterranean world for centuries. But this peace was bought with the sword. The legions were a relentless and efficient war machine, crushing rebellions and expanding the frontiers with brutal efficiency. The story of Rome is a powerful reminder that imperial power often rests on a foundation of both sophisticated governance and military might. Of course, power isn't just about armies and laws. It's also about ideas. And this is where the great Eastern empires offer a fascinating contrast. Consider the Persian Achaemenid Empire under Cyrus the Great. When Cyrus conquered Babylon, he didn't raze it to the ground. Instead, he famously allowed the captive peoples, including the Jews, to return to their homelands and rebuild their temples. This policy of relative tolerance and multicultural administration was revolutionary. The Persians understood that you could rule a diverse empire more effectively through respect and integration rather than sheer force alone. They built the Royal Road, a highway that facilitated not just trade and military movements, but also the flow of ideas and cultures across their vast domain. This was a different kind of power, a softer power, but no less effective. But empires, by their very nature, are born from conflict. And the clash of empires has produced some of the most epic wars in history. Think of the Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage, a struggle for dominance that spanned generations and saw Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants. Or the Mongol conquests, where Genghis Khan and his successors forged the largest contiguous land empire ever known. The Mongol hordes were masters of psychological warfare and lightning-fast cavalry tactics. Their conquests were often swift and devastating, but in their wake, they also created the Pax Mongolica *. This Mongol peace secured the Silk Road, allowing for an unprecedented exchange of goods, technologies, and ideas between East and West. It's a paradox of history. The violence of war can sometimes, unintentionally, pave the way for new connections and cultural fusion. What truly makes an empire's legacy last, however, is its civilization. What is left when the armies have gone home and the borders have crumbled? The pyramids of Egypt, the philosophy of Greece, the poetry of the Tang dynasty, the mathematics and astronomy of the Islamic Golden Age. These are the true treasures of empire. The Romans gave us engineering and law. The Han Dynasty in China standardized writing, established the civil service system, and pushed scientific innovation. The British Empire, for all its controversies, spread the English language and parliamentary systems across the globe. These cultural and intellectual achievements often outlive the political structures that birthed them, becoming the common inheritance of all humanity. They prove that an empire's greatest strength isn't in what it conquers, but in what it creates. But no empire lasts forever. The very forces that fuel their rise often contain the seeds of their downfall. Overexpansion, internal corruption, economic collapse, civil wars, and external invasions. The list of reasons is long and complex. The Roman Empire fractured under its own weight, unable to manage its vast frontiers and grappling with political instability. The mighty Spanish Empire, enriched by the gold of the Americas, eventually declined due to endless wars and economic mismanagement. The fall of an empire can be a slow, gradual decay or a sudden violent collapse, but it is always a transformative moment in history, creating a power vacuum and paving the way for new states and new orders to emerge. So, as we look back on this grand tapestry of history, what can we learn from the age of empires? We see a constant struggle between centralization and fragmentation, between conquest and culture, between unity and diversity. Empires show us humanity at its most ambitious and organized, but also at its most ruthless and destructive. They are complex entities, full of contradictions. They built magnificent cities while enslaving populations. They fostered great art and science while waging brutal wars. Understanding empires is to understand a fundamental part of the human story, our endless quest for order, meaning, and power. The world we live in today, with its global trade, international laws, and interconnected cultures, is a direct descendant of the Imperial Age. The ghosts of Rome, Persia, and the Han Dynasty still walk among us. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the Age of Empires. History is a vast and fascinating subject, and we've only scratched the surface today. If you enjoyed this exploration of power, war, and civilization, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. What's your favorite empire from history, and why? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious.